Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to be going over an article titled Film Showed Women That Soft Boys Are the Emotionally Intelligent Men They Wanted All Along. And this article is written by a woman, and basically this article is going to be giving credit to the film industry, Hollywood, for portraying men as sensitive and emotional, and pretty much that's the gist of it. These basically weak little crybabies, okay? And obviously portraying women as strong and dominant, aloof, decisive, all that. Now, I've talked about this in other videos before. I did one video months ago directly talking about different movies and giving examples of this. But this article here, dead on, is crediting the film industry, Hollywood, for what's gone on. And unfortunately, over the last 4 decades, because this really started happening in the early 80s, it's worked. It really has done its part to brainwash not just men, but also women. It's brainwashed men to be this way, and it's also brainwashed women to think, oh, this is attractive. And it's the generation generally that are the millennial group and younger that have been impacted the most by this. Because you ask any woman above the age 35, and I guarantee you, you say, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? And they'll say, a man. And they'll complain that there's no real men out there. And why? Because of this. Now, the film industry has done its part. There's other parts about this, and I'll get into later on as I go through the article, but it's not speculation anymore. There's actual credit to this because it's been done on purpose. So, again, the title of the article is Film Showed Women That Soft Boys Are the Emotionally Intelligent Men They Wanted All Along. Starts off saying, the days of aggression and rage being the only socially acceptable emotions men are allowed to express are now numbered. Increasingly, women are looking for something more delicate, and young men are obliging, showing emotional vulnerability, publicly crying, going to therapy, and being the little spoon. Aw, isn't that cute? Again, ask any woman above the age 35 that doesn't fall into the millennial group, and she'll say that's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, the feminine women. The masculine women will like this because they by nature behave more like men. And a lot of them, they want a guy they can boss the fuck around. Continues on, to whom can we attribute this change of character in men? While household brands are starting to promote awareness about toxic masculinity, and a range of public figures are challenging hyper-masculine stereotypes, we must also give credit to the film industry, which is doing yeoman's work in showcasing soft, emotionally vulnerable young men. So there you go. We no longer have to speculate about it. Absolutely, it's known they're doing it on purpose. And it's amazing to me that you've had what really triggered this, you know? And then also what's amazing to me to think about is you have a small percentage of these groups that have a lot of influence, a lot of money to make this possible. And it's all under the idea and being sold to the public about equality and equal rights. Well, there's nothing about equal rights when you're trying to mold a generation, and now we're on to the second generation. The first generation they're trying to mold was what be the millennials. Now the next generation they're molding is the Generation Z. And if you think the millennials are a pain in the ass with how things have gone, wait till those Generation Zs. They're already now, I believe, some in their early 20s, but wait till more of the teenagers become in the 20s, and the people in their 20s now become, start having children and so forth. You think it's bad now with the millennial group, and it's not all millennials, but that's the primary demographic that's been impacted by this. Wait till the Generation Z comes, and I'll get on that later. But the idea is being sold. It's all about equal rights. There's nothing about equal rights when you're trying to mold now 2 generations of men to act more like women and feminine, emotional, and indecisive, unsure, and emotional and crying and all that bullshit. And again, making women more masculine. There's nothing equal about rights about that. But they think that it's better to make men more like women and women more like men. Well, that's not a good idea on so many levels, but some people think it's a good idea, and they've done a hell of a job selling it to the masses. Fortunately, there are a lot of guys out there over the years who have been seeing that this is all a bunch of fucking bullshit, and channels like this are popping up talking about this and bringing awareness to prevent this madness from continuing. Because guys, can you begin to imagine how we're going to be as a country when you have more of these weak guys as adults running the show? What kind of military are we going to have? Who's going to defend us? I guarantee we have enemies out there, foreign nations that are sitting there just rubbing their hands together, chomping at the bit for the time that we become so weak that we're an easy target, and it's going to happen. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. So we got to do our part to bring awareness. And for you guys that have kids, or for you grandfathers that have grandchildren, or uncles that have nephews, it's your job to help toughen them up, because believe me, they're being influenced by media and TV and movies to be weak, to be little bitches. And they're doing it in the schools as well. It's really unfortunate. All right, goes on. Leading this pop culture phenomenon is, of course, Timothy Chalamet, the 23-year-old American star of movies including Beautiful Boy and Call Me By Your Name. The first time I saw him play a more rugged role was in 2019, when I binged Netflix The King. Despite pulling off some culturally masculine scenes, including killing an opponent in a sword fight and leading an army to battle, Henry V, Chalamet's character, was still familiarly gentle. My throat's a little dry, so I can't talk right. Maybe it was the idea that Henry IV had refused to appoint him as King of England because of his frail frame and love of partying, regarding him as not man enough for the throne. Or maybe it's because Chalamet's history of tender fictional roles has ingrained him in the mind as a Hollywood soft boy. And the article goes on to say, the soft boy revolution. Pop culture's love for soft boys is clearly demonstrated in the popularity of contemporary entertainers like Shalome, Cole Sprouse, Harry Styles, and Luca Sabat. By the way, I've never heard of any of these guys, and I'm now knowing what they portray. I'm glad I never heard of them. It says, soft boys might dabble in womanly apparel, challenging traditional masculinity and explicitly bathing in femininity. They display vulnerability on their social media platforms and in interviews and take on unconventional roles while simultaneously rebranding a new image for the young male heartthrob. And the public can't get enough of it. Oh yeah? I guarantee the public of 35 and up has had enough of it. I guarantee you most men above the age of 35 has had enough of it. And plenty of younger guys too, because I got a lot of younger guys in this channel that don't subscribe to this horse shit. But you see what I'm talking about here? They're talking about bathing in femininity, wearing women's clothes and things like that. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I am not joking, that the powers that be that are pushing this shit, they are not going to be happy until guys are walking around in dresses, carrying man purses, and have tampons shoved up our asses. I'm telling you, they're not going to be happy. And then they'll find more shit to make guys more. Yeah, I think they're literally sitting back in their little dominion of evil saying, what can we get these guys to do next? It's crazy. Chalamet's bankability speaks to the soft boy range. His breakout role as Elio in 2017's Call Me By Your Name, a film about a queer teen's sexual awakening, drew in a diverse fan base and earned more than $41 million in the worldwide box office. For the first time, I witnessed many of my straight female friends falling head over heels for a character whose interests lied in men. Part of the attraction can no doubt be linked to Chalamet's Adonis-like facial features, but I wager most of it can be attributed to his soft boy nature on the screen and his real-life comfort in playing a queer role. I got no problem with him playing a queer role. No problem at all. But when he's doing roles of, for instance, a straight guy and being emotional and crying and all these feminine traits and dressing like a woman and whatever you want to call it, that's different. And what she's talking about the women here finding that attractive, I guarantee they're either in the millennial group or below. Or the fact is that, let's be honest here, most women truly do not understand what they're emotionally respond to. That will piss a lot of women off hearing that, and they may deny it. But let me ask you guys this. How many women have you known throughout your life that have complained that they want a nice guy and to treat them well and do all this whole laundry list of things, bring them flowers and talk about how they feel and all these things that is portrayed in the movies by these guys. And then when they get those guys, they lose attraction for them and dump them and go for guys that these movies are trying to label as negative and bad, the bad boys, or these guys that are masculine and tough and have a backbone. Isn't that interesting? How many times have you guys have experienced that and heard the same speech over and over and over again? And you thought you were doing the right thing by behaving in this type of way that's portrayed. And what happens? It backfires. So we all know women are backwards and don't know what the hell they want. And also, this generation is being brainwashed, just like the guys, to see, oh, that's attractive. But at the end of the day, nature is always going to win. And by nature, the woman, just like a female lion or a female wolf or a female silverback gorilla, they're going to be attracted to the strong, dominant, tough alpha male. So these women can claim this, but let's be honest, what they're really attracted to, what they're drawn to, is going to be the exact opposite. Goes on to say, Shalome's resume of soft and atypical performances has redefined the Hollywood male sex symbol as a cisgender guy coded in stereotypically female characteristics. The cultural impact has been immense and immediate for the modern, non-fictional dude and those who seek him. Goes on, little subheading here, says the soft boy gets a rebrand. The term soft boy was coined by 2015 by writer Alan Hansen in a Medium article exploring the concept. Often depicted as the opposite of an F-boy, an F-U-C-K boy, or the straight version of a gay male best friend, soft boys were originally a label for men who shield away from the stereotypical masculine traits and use their femininity and emotional vulnerability to draw in women. Basically just sensitive, well-read, non-threatening F-boys in sheep or pastel clothing. Now the term is being tied to real celebrities. The concept has been redefined, dropping the whole idea that soft boys are just disguised F-boys. Instead, they're being reclassified as guys with good intentions and lucid understanding of their emotions. It's perhaps tempting to label any slender guy with soft skin, big eyes, and a small jawline as a soft boy, based on his looks alone, but the character of the soft boy transcends physically and can appear in anyone. You see what they're trying to push? It's amazing. You know, I've done articles about this before, how just all the labels of toxic masculinity or trying to take shots at traditional masculinity and making it to be that strength and toughness and being competitive and dominant, they're trying to make it out to be a negative thing, right? Because at the end of the day, they want to rid the world of bullies and abusers and things like that. And don't get me wrong, we don't need bullies, we don't need abusers. But at the end of the day, no matter what action is done to mold the masses into being different types of men, you are still going to get bullies. You're still going to get abusive guys. And may I ask, who is going to stand up to those guys if none of these, of all the men out there have been molded into these soft boys, as they call them? Who's going to stand up to them? No one. Or the women are going to stand up to them. That's what's going to happen. But the deal is this, is that there's a movie I saw years ago called American Sniper about the guy Chris Kyle. And there's a scene in the movie early on where you see him as a young boy at the dinner table with his dad and his younger brother. And his dad was a tough guy. And basically his dad was describing how in life you have three types of people. Mainly you have sheep, which is the masses, because let's be honest, most people in this world are sheep. Then you have the wolves. The wolves prey on the sheep. And then you have the sheepdogs. The sheepdogs are the ones that stand up and protect the sheep from the wolves. Well, is there going to be a sheepdog left after all this? We need strong, tough, competitive, dominant men out there, not to be bullies, not to be abusers, but to be strong and set good examples to be more sheepdogs to stand up to the wolves. Because no matter what happens, you're going to have wolves. Goes on to say, the modern man is getting softer. The acceptance of the soft boy look and soft boy behavior has huge benefits like combating toxic masculinity. There we go. It comes as no surprise, as a study from 2015 observed, that mindful men who perceive their emotions without having to react to them and who have mastered the work of finding the words to describe their feelings strongly attract women. Here's the deal. You don't want to have things all bottled up inside you so you explode and lose your mind and so forth, but I have learned this the hard way, and I've talked to countless guys that have learned the hard way. Going to your lady, your girlfriend, your wife, and pouring out your emotions like they portray in television and movies is a recipe for disaster. It turns them off. And even if you do it in the most relaxed, easy, masculine, non-pussy-ass way, it still turns them off. Okay, and I learned this the hard way. If you want to talk about some things you're worried about or things like that, or just letting stuff out, talk to your buddies, okay? And believe me, because I guarantee they're going to go through some of this stress and some of the shit. Talk to them about it, okay? But don't do it to the women. They'll turn them off every time. And I know I'm going to get some people are going to say that's bullshit, and some women are going to say, I like a man that pours out his emotions and feelings. Oh, yeah? Well, you can continue liking that. That's fine. But believe me, most women are turned off by it. It goes on. Another study from 2017 found that only 7.4% of men rated athleticism and physical perfection to be very important, and 14.4% rated as unimportant. The same survey found that the traits most valued among men were dependability, reliability, honesty, and loyalty, suggesting a cultural change from the alpha male ideas of past generations. Yeah, the generation now, the Generation Z, and a lot of the millennials, you look at the guys there, they're weak. I mean, not all, but a lot of them, the women are stronger than they are. It's hilarious. I was on a plane once going somewhere, and this guy, there wasn't much room left, and he had to put his luggage, the carry-on, in the overhead compartment, and he got a really big, his suitcase was just enough to be able to fit in there, and obviously it was heavy. He was having a hard time lifting this thing up. And you know what happened? His girlfriend helped him. She got up and helped him maneuver it around because he was too weak. I mean, I just sat there in my seat and just, oh my God. But it didn't surprise me. This is what you got. It goes on. Since Shalome began making waves at the box office, a plethora of successful Netflix films and TV shows on various networks featuring soft boys in the leading man roles has debuted. To name a few, there's a Noah Centineo in To All the Boys I Loved Before, a aforementioned Sprouse in Riverdale, as a Butterfield in Sex Education, and Alex Lothar in The End of the Effing World. All fall into the soft boy genre. And while all these characteristics have notably different issues, movie lovers idolize them for their sensitivity. Just look at the ratings. Society has a long history of teaching men that manhood is mastered through power, strength, athleticism, and heterosexual prowess. But the new lead characters in Hollywood, who women are still going crazy for, do not share these goals. Well, again, who is the audience that's eating this up with a spoon? The Generation Z and the Millennials, who I'm just sorry to say have been brainwashed for decades about this. And at first it was movies and TV, then you get commercials, then music, and now we're having companies that put out products like the classic Gillette commercial during the Super Bowl, taking an attack at traditional masculinity or toxic masculinity, whatever you want to call it, and they're doing their ugly job. And again, this has nothing to do with equal rights. It's just trying to make the genders equal. And men behaving more like women, and women behaving more like men. And yet you have women above the age of 35 all saying, where are the fucking real men? And this is what we're going to get. So again, it's important to talk about these things. And for you guys that have sons, or for you older guys that have grandsons, or uncles that have nephews, and for you brothers that have younger brothers, to set the example. To show them that strength is a good thing. Being tough, being strong, being competitive to compete in a competitive world. But not being a bully, not being an abuser, and things like that. But this article proves it's been done on purpose. And they're going to keep doing things on purpose. And again, I can't imagine where things will continue to be if action isn't taken. And again, at the end of the day, I believe everybody has the freedom to do what they want, what makes them happy. If a guy wants to be soft to make him happy, let him be soft. If he wants to wear a dress, if that makes him happy, wear a dress. But my problem is when a concentrated effort is made on the masses to completely screw everything up and making men more feminine and women more masculine because they think it's a good idea, and make men that actually have strong male traditional characteristics demonized, because that's what they're doing. And how's this going to affect us as a country, as a nation, in terms of the perception of our military, of our strength? Again, like I said, we have enemies out there, lots of them, and they're going to be, again, sitting back and watching this show saying, oh, anytime there's a perceived weakness, an enemy attacks. We don't need that. So this generation, the influencers, be careful what they wish for. So again, guys, we got to do our part. So that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And also be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time.